Hello Sagittarius, Elsie here to do your reading. It is for the week ahead. Sag, how are you? Thanks so much for clicking here. Look, this week what we're going to look at is three hands. I haven't done that in a while, so we're going to look at career, finances, and love. We're going to look at all three of those. Sag, how you doing? My fire family, I hope you're well. Thanks for showing up here. Let's find out what's going on for you in the week ahead, Sag. If you're brand new, welcome. Hope you'll stay. And if you decide to stay, hit that subscription button. If you are someone who's always coming back and hitting that thumbs up to grow this tribe, thank you for doing that. At the end of this video, I am going to talk about how you can find the extended if you're interested in that. And if you are also interested in a private read, there's a bunch of sales going on. I'll talk about that at the end of this video. Tell me what's going on in finances. We'll do finances first for you, Sagittarius. My fire family, sun, moon, rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Sag and their finances in the week ahead. We have the Six of Wands. We've got the Two of Swords. And we've got the Ten of Swords. Sag, I feel like it's time for a review. I would say financially, it looks like it's time to pay more attention to where you're putting your money, what you're spending your money on. I would say with the Six of Wands and the Two of Swords, it tells me that maybe you need to stop going out so much, or you need to stop spending so much. The Six of Wands is obviously like, it is victory and success, but it's also about a lot of attention. So I feel like you've been in the middle of people, or you've been going out or had a lot of tension, but I feel like mostly it tells me that you need to pay more attention to what you're spending your money on. And that possibly there's some things that maybe you can cut out of your budget, possibly that will allow for you to feel more abundant. The Ten of Swords is here. Ten of Swords is always about letting go. And, you know, this could be a little bit of betrayal, self-betrayal, right? And so sometimes there are things that, you know, sometimes we get to a place where maybe we can't afford it, but we maybe put payments on it or something like that because we work hard, right? And so I feel like that's the place that you're in here. But it feels like the sun is asking you here to have some sort of a breakthrough, to put the sun on, or, you know, go over the finances with a fine-tooth comb. We've got the Seven of Swords here. It almost feels like there's something that you're missing. Something that you're missing here that might be under the surface, or it could be something that you are in denial about, possibly. Something that you don't want to pay attention to, something you don't want to give up, but you know that it's costing you a lot. Maybe it's a lot of interest, or, you know, maybe it's the extra credit card. Maybe you only need 3 and you got 4. Like, I feel like it's something that you're not really paying attention to, but it does feel like when the sun comes out here that you're not going to be able to ignore it. Interesting, the King of Pentacles shows up, and the King of Pentacles is the one who's very financially, fiscally responsible, right? Is the person who is moving slow, who's not overspending. They are somebody who is money-minded, and I feel like the sun being here with the Six of Wands is asking me to ask you to be a little more cautious or money-minded, or to really stop ignoring what maybe bills that you're behind on. Like maybe you're making payments on something like a car that's too expensive, but there are other things that are lacking. Maybe you're not quite making payments on the credit cards, and I'm not sure if that's what's happening at all, but I'm saying as a metaphor, right? So it feels like with the Two of Swords here that you're sort of stuck at this place of making a decision. And I don't think that you want to. I think that you want it all, but I do feel like it's causing financial worry. We've got the Seven of Swords and the Two of Swords here, and that's 9. So I feel like when it does finally come to light, or when the sun turns on, or when somebody flicks on the light in the room, that you finally see your financial situation for what it is. And I think that it's going to be time to be fiscally responsible and sort of look over the finances and figure out what needs to be paid, what has been unpaid, what is behind. Maybe I'm paying too much for this, and maybe I might need to prioritize that, because the Two of Swords is always about this or that. And so we've got the Eight of Swords. And so there's something here that I think that you don't really want to do, or you're ignoring it on purpose, or, you know, I feel like you just want to, I feel like it's, you know, it's the summertime. Maybe you just want to keep going to the beach, or, you know what, it feels like it's something that you're putting on the back burner for a reason. Again, we have the Five of Swords. So I want to say with all these swords here, we've got the Ten of Swords, the Seven of Swords, the Two of Swords, we've got 4, and the Eight of Swords. So I really do feel like that you've been thinking about this a lot, but you've been sort of ignoring it. And I feel like you're not going to be able to ignore it any longer. Something's going to come up because the sun is going to be shining on the King of Pentacles, which is your financial situation. We do have the Four of Pentacles. Yeah, it's about holding back or saving money. So the Five of Swords here, I feel like you're going to come to a situation next week where you're going to have to make some type of decision that you didn't want to have to make about your finances. I don't think it's anything terrible or horrible, but I think it's something that you don't want to give up. So you're going to feel like you're neglecting yourself, or you're going to feel like, but I really wanted that thing and I've earned that thing and I work really hard, and I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying that I feel like in the week ahead here, the universe is asking you to really look at your financial situation and figure out what are your need to haves and your nice to haves. Why is this? We've got the Ace of Wands, we've got the Five of Cups, and we've got the Six of Pentacles. Because I feel for those of you who are in a relationship, I feel like it's going to start to cause problems in your relationship. It feels like the Ace of Wands being the excitement or the passion, and then we have the Five of Cups up against the Ace of Wands. And so it tells me that, it's like we are emotionally disconnected. There's not even really any passion, because it's like, money can stress us out. Money is the number one reason why relationships break up. And we've got the Six of Pentacles here. So I feel like before it gets out of hand, before it gets to a place where you can't control it any longer, to stop ignoring it, I would say, and make sure that you are looking into it, because I feel like it's going to start causing issues between you and somebody that you're in a relationship, or maybe between you and a loved one. Possibly maybe you've loaned somebody money, or they've loaned you money, and it feels like maybe you're spending money on this but not paying back the loan, or they are spending money on this and not paying you back the loan. Possibly that's why it's time for you to start thinking about that debt, whether it's yours or theirs. Tell me what you're ignoring here. Yeah, we've got the Empress here. So I feel like you've been spending a lot of money on adorning yourself. So I feel like whether you're feminine or masculine, you're buying nicer outfits, better runners. It feels like you're buying sneakers, right? Or you're buying, getting your hair and your nails done and all of that stuff, which is all necessary. But I feel like it tells me that the Empress says, yeah, you look good on the outside, but what about the inside? Because the Empress is also the Queen of Pentacles, who is the person who is looking after themselves and their finances. So we have the Three of Pentacles and we have the Death card. I feel like it's time to spend a little less time out in the neighborhood, out with friends, out doing things, spending money. It's about being a little more grounded in the choices that you're making, and realizing that if you don't I feel like you're just working harder to go out and play a little more, and that's fine for a time, but it will tend to burn you out. And so I feel like you need a different game plan here. You need a little bit of self-discipline. We've got 4 and 3 is 7 and 1 is 8. That's 8. That's self-mastery. You need a little more self-discipline, because I feel like this Three of Pentacles and the Death card is here saying something's got to change about the Three of Pentacles, and I feel like you're building slowly towards something. So it's time to, with the Four of Pentacles, to save a little more or hold back or not go out so much, and instead of thinking about it, actually put some practical work behind it, which is the Eight of Pentacles. We've got the Fool, and so you can't go into the next cycle with your baggage. So I feel like if you're a person who's not with a partner and you're looking for a relationship, that somebody who gets into a relationship with you is also going to want to eventually know about your finances, because they don't want to take on debt either. So if you're in a lot of debt, that could be one of the things that could stop you from getting into a serious relationship is, debt. And, because that's Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles is part of the Empress energy. So it's a lesson that needs to be learned before you can actually step into the Empress energy, whether you are feminine or masculine. So I feel like it's time to really take a look at what you need and what you don't need, and what you've been spending money on that you don't necessarily need. Something you can hold back on. All right. Let's take a look at your career. Tell me about Sagittarius and Moon Rising, Venus and Jupiter. Tell me about Sagittarius. Let's talk about career for Sagittarius. Tell me about Sag. Tell me about career. What's coming up for Sag? We have the Page of Swords. We have the Eight of Pentacles. And we have the Five of Wands. I feel like somebody here is trying to make a decision about whether they want to go back to school or not, or whether they want to upgrade their information or their certificate, or maybe you have a master's and you want a bachelor, or maybe a bachelor and you want a PhD. I feel like somebody here is sort of sort of fighting themselves or in confusion, or I'm not really sure if I should spend money on that. I feel like you need to make a plan. So we can see that there's 5 pentacles here, but this is the 8 of pentacles. We can see that there's 3 pentacles here that are being planned. So I'm going to say with the 8 of pentacles, it's always about the self-mastery. It's always about getting all the analytics and getting everything straight. It's about straightening out the closets, straightening out the cupboards, right? The Virgo is very organized, right? With their thoughts and with most things in life. So, and they always know where everything is. Even if it's a mess, it's an organized mess. So I feel like this Page of Swords is telling me that it's time to learn something new, or to really look at something carefully. I think you might need a new plan. So it feels like if you are planning to go to school, I think that you might feel, because I'm looking at 5 pentacles here that have already been produced, and it feels like you might feel that you have to stop or stall your life. I'm going to say that there is some sort of plan that you can make here, that you might be able to do it all, but it does feel like it's going to take a lot of discipline. I'm going to say a lot of discipline. It's going to take a lot of financial discipline, a lot of discipline in your time. I feel like whatever you do in terms of your career, that it's very, there's a lot of competition in what you do. And so it feels like it is something that maybe you just want to have a little bit of a leg up, right? Tell me more about the career. We've got the 2 of Swords. We've got the 7 of Cups. And we've got the Strength card. The Tower's here in the distance. So the Tower that's future energy for me. Tower is the Ace of Cups. I feel like for somebody here, you might feel like it could interfere in your social life, or maybe your dating life, or maybe you are dating someone that you're going to have to spend less time with. And I feel like it's a hard decision to make. There's a Tower here with the Ace of Cups, you see. And so I feel like there is going to be less time to spend on the Ace of Cups, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're just in the dating mode, or whether you're married. It feels like with this King of Swords here, you're sort of in a tug and pull over head and heart, and which one you should go with. I feel like the Tower is showing up to tell you that the 9 of Pentacles is here with the Page of Cups, to use your intuition as to whether, you know, what you're going to do, what your next steps are, what you're going to do, because the nine of Pentacles is something that you're building, right? You're building your reputation, you're building, you know, whatever it is that you're building toward in your career. And I feel like the Page of Cups tells me that you're going to have to lessen the time that you give to somebody else romantically, because the Page of Cups is just a little bit of love, right? And so it feels like this might crash hard into your Ace of Cups energy, because the King of Swords is here making decisions that are best for everyone involved. And that's what the King of Swords does, because the kings always, you know, they have wisdom, but they're also very much about mastering something. And this particular King of Swords masters the mind. And so I feel like you have to make some sort of really hard decision, harsh decision, that you have to give less time over here in order to get more time to do what you want to do. We do have the 2 of Swords is here with the Page, and that's 3 swords for me. So I feel like you are going over these plans. It feels like you really are going to need to schedule your time, schedule yourself, be very disciplined in order to not disappoint other people, if that's what you're wanting to do. But the 7 of Cups tells me that I don't think you have a plan at this time, and it feels a little bit confusing or overwhelming. It feels like you're not entirely sure about what you want to do, or where you want to organize your time, what you want to give your time to. So we do have the Strength card here. So right now I feel like this time you're holding back because you're not really sure what to do. I think the problem here is mostly, Sag, is in your career. You really want to build your career, whether that means going back to school, or you're going to be doing more training at work to get into a different department, or whatever it is. And I feel like your biggest problem here is that you're worried about being antisocial, or being seen as antisocial, or not having time to give to everybody, right? So let's look at the 8 of Pentacles. How should you organize all of this, and what are the disciplines that you need here? We've got the 9 of Wands. Well, we know you are resilient. We've got the 8 of Swords and the 5 of Pentacles. So, you know, we see the 5 of Pentacles on this card, even though it's the 8, we see 5 from a distance or visible. I think that you do need to plan, or you will be left on the outside looking in. And what I mean by that is, for those of you who maybe are single, you don't have a partner or whatever, you're not doing the dating, you may feel left out. You may feel Yeah, impoverished in the mind. I'm not talking financial, but for some of you, you could be taking a financial hit as well. We do have the Eight of Swords. It feels like this is something that you've been thinking about for a while, and I think that with the Nine of Wands, you don't really want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I feel like you're exhausted. I'm going to say, if you try and take it all on without a plan, without discipline, with whatever you're going to do, you're going to need a plan or you're going to burn out, because the Nine of Wands is here. So please make sure that you're making a plan. And maybe it's just going to take talking to the people in your life and saying, look, this is what I plan on doing. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time. But even if other people understand you, I feel like you get lonely. I feel like it's just work, eat, sleep for you at that point. But I mean, it depends on whatever your goals are. I feel like you're sort of, with this Five of Wands, you're undecided about what to do next here. We do have the Ace of Wands. We have the Three of Pentacles, and the King of Swords is back. You know what? I think you're going to go for it, because I feel like you want the victory. You want the success, but also the Six Wands that are here, 5 and 1. The Six Wands that are here, it tells me here that you do want, you want to be seen as a head and neck above the rest. You want to have the spotlight, right? Six Wands is Leo energy. You want to have the spotlight. You want to have the upper hand. And so the Three of Pentacles tells me that you're ready to get down to work. And the King of Swords tells me you are making the best decision for everyone involved. But I feel like, I'm going to say, I'm just going to warn you about burnout. That's all. I feel like you're holding off telling people that you're not going to be around. You're not going to be available. Yeah, I feel like that's what this Page of Wands is. That's in the reverse. I'm not going to be available. I'm not going to be around. I will be around once in a while, but I feel like, when the Fool shows up, it's asking you to make a decision, to take a leap of faith. But first, you can't carry anything into that cycle. You first have to abandon whatever it is that you were doing in order to go into the new cycle, because the Fool goes in with really nothing, right? And so that means that you got to leave the luggage behind. You got to leave the baggage behind. So I feel like you will once in a while see groups of friends, but I feel like you are going to probably tell them, look, I'm just not going to be available. I just have to build my business, or I have to go back to school, or I feel like you're planning to sort of knuckle down and get some sort of new rhythm going in your life, and it's not going to involve a lot of people that are around your around the outside of your life. I think that you're going to have to pay close attention to what's going on. I feel like there's going to be people who are going to be upset with you. Eight of Wands, Three of Swords. There's going to be people who are upset with you because you're moving forward in your life. You're moving toward better money, legacy. You're trying to lay down tracks for a long-term job that is really going to excite you, right, with the Eight of Wands. But I think there's going to be people in your life that are going to feel disappointed or left out. So I think that it's a really big decision you need to make about your career. And the King of Swords would make the best decision for everyone involved, including themselves, though. So just be aware of that you have to include yourself in that as well. All right, let's talk about love. Let me get a deck here. Let's talk about love. For Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Sag. Sag in love, please. Tell me about Sagittarius. Sag in love. We've got the Death card. We've got the Four of Pentacles. And we've got the Strength card. We've got the Ace of Wands. Something's about to change here for you, Sagittarius. Yeah, it looks like something is about to change here. We have the Three of Wands in the reverse with the Nine of Swords. And it seems to me that you're worried about the future. It feels like maybe you're worried that the boundaries that you have placed, or I feel like you've put up some pretty solid boundaries, and I feel like you think it's stopped people, like maybe you think your boundaries are too solid and it's stopped people from coming forward. But look, I think it's made you a happier person. I'm going to say no, I don't think that your boundaries are too hard. Like, I feel like this is just worry about the future, and I think that's what you're doing. It's like woulda, shoulda, coulda. But the Three of Wands is in the reverse, and I feel like you feel stuck in this moment here, and you feel like things aren't going to move forward because your boundaries are too tight. But honestly, I feel like something's about to change here. Look, hold your position. I'm going to say. And I mean, you'll know for sure if you're connected to your intuition, you'll know if your boundaries are too stiff or not, right? We've got the Death card, and we have the Four of Pentacles. I feel like what's coming to an end is this sort of shut off, shut down kind of energy, this invulnerability that you've been carrying around. I think you've been holding back, or you've been sort of playing it coy or cool, and I feel like that's coming to an end. It feels like with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups here, that there is something that is going to show up, and I feel like it's going to be something that you weren't expecting. You weren't expecting this connection. You weren't expecting to have like a bit of a spark with somebody, and it feels like it is the beginning of something that's maybe longer term, because the Ace of Cups is here. I feel like there's two people here with the Lovers, and it feels like there is a connection that is coming in, and it does feel like it is something that surprises you, I want to say. This Ace of Cups, this is the only deck that I have. The Ace of Cups always seems like a surprise for me, because you open the oyster, you never expect to see a pearl, right? It's very uncommon, unless you're live in an area where you know that it's common. But this Ace of Cups here tells me that you've been holding back, or not really being very vulnerable, not really putting yourself out there. And I feel like you decide to change that, or the universe says, look, it's time to change that. It's time for you to stop getting lost in the crowd, and it's time for you to stick out just a little bit, but you've got to be a little bit more vulnerable. It's time to face your fears of being invulnerable. And look, if you have those good boundaries, the promises you make to yourself, and you don't let people cross those boundaries, you should be okay. But I feel like you're about to meet someone quite special, someone who understands you. I'm going to say, because this is Gemini, I always think about someone who understands your dark and your light, someone who takes the good with the bad, is what it feels like here. Tell me about the Four of Pentacles. How are you going to become more vulnerable here? We've got the King of Pentacles. We've got the Page of Cups. And we've got the Devil. I feel like you need to be a little bit more flirty. Just a little. Not a lot. I feel like you just need to put yourself out there a little more. The Page of Cups and the Devil energy is telling me that you need to be a little more risque. I'm going to say you need to be a little more risky. You need to get yourself out there, Sag, and put yourself in front of people. It doesn't mean that you have to change who you are. The King of Pentacles is here, and you can still do it slowly. You can still do it mindfully. You can still do it carefully. But I feel like you really got to put yourself out there just a little bit, because to me, the Page of Cups is getting back in touch with your intuition, using your intuition in terms of dating. You will know who the good and who the bad ones are, but I feel like the Devil and the Page of Cups is telling me you got to flirt just a little bit. You got to get yourself out there. I think that that's a little bit of a fear, that maybe you feel like you don't know how to flirt, or maybe you feel awkward when you do, but it feels like you got to put yourself out there and face some sort of a fear here. Tell me what this fear is, because I feel like you're facing your fear, but I feel like you got to open your eyes to do it. This girl is facing her fear, possibly of lions or animals that are bigger than her, maybe, but it feels like she's holding back. Her eyes are closed, and so her and the lion are becoming one. Like their energies are becoming one. But it feels like you're going to have to find some courage to get out there. The Five of Pentacles, you're like, but I'm comfortable at home. I don't mind being at home. We have the Knight of Wands. I feel like, yeah, it's a little bit of flirtation. It's a little bit of desire. I feel like it's a little bit of hesitation on your part with the Four of Wands and the one wand that's in the hand of the Knight of Wands. I feel like you have a fear, and I think that the fear is that you're going to find somebody who's just going to want to get into it in passion with you, and then it's not going to go anywhere else with the Five of Pentacles. I feel like you need to stop overthinking it. You need to put yourself out there. We did see the Nine of Swords on the bottom of the deck. I think you're overthinking it. You're looking too far into the future when you should be looking at this moment. And in this moment, what should you be doing? You should be getting yourself out there, right? So you can be a little more vulnerable. I feel like it's time for you to start flirting just a little bit. And you don't have to do it all the time, but maybe just a little bit. Maybe it's time to invite people over to your home and say to everybody, could you just bring one friend? Maybe it's time for you to meet some people that you've never met before. 4. Look, we've already run out of time here, but I'm going to go into the extended. If you're interested in coming into the extended, Queen of Cups on the bottom of the deck. So if you're interested in going into the extended, please do that. There is a pinned comment at the top of the comment area there. Now that pinned comment has information about going over to the membership area. If you would like to go to the membership area and join there for all of the extendeds for one price per month. I do extendeds for all of the readings, or you can just purchase this particular extended if you're interested in that. And there also is a link there to purchase this one-time extended. Also, if you're interested in a private read, right now I have sales on 10% off your pre-recorded readings with the code that is in the pinned comment. Or if you would like to speak with me live, I've got all kinds of sales on between 5 and 75%. All you just need to do is book in advance, and you will definitely get a discount. Go take a look at my timetable, and go take a look at the times that I'm free, and we'll make a plan. I'm going to go into the extended. If I see you there, that's great. And if I don't, that's okay, because I'll be back. I am always back, Sagittarius. You guys take care, and I'll see you over there if that's where you're going. Take care. Bye-bye.